I never thought I'd be writing this, but here goes. My fiance's ex-girlfriend is now my sister-in-law, and she's been trying to destroy my life ever since she found out he proposed to me. Let me back up. I'm a 27-year-old woman. My fiance's name is George, he's 3'8". My older brother is David, 3'5", and my sister-in-law David's wife is Ella, 3'4". Yeah, it's a small world, and it got smaller in the worst way. George and Ella dated about 4 years ago, back when George was a mess. He was partying hard, doing drugs, not the most reliable person. They were together for 6 months. Ella wanted marriage and kids, but George didn't see that with her. He wasn't ready, and honestly, he wasn't in a place to be a good partner to anyone, so it ended in drama. She was furious he wouldn't commit. Not long after their breakup, Ella met my brother David. Within 6 or 7 months, they were married. So to recap, she dates George, breaks up, meets my brother, marries him, all in about a year and a couple of months. Fast forward 2 years, I meet George completely by chance. At that point, Ella is already married to my brother, and I have no idea George and Ella ever dated. None. I was 25, he was 36. We hit it off, and then something incredible happened. George totally turned his life around. He quit drinking, quit drugs. He's been sober ever since. He started therapy, got his head straight. He did it for himself, but I got to be there for his whole healing journey. It was beautiful to watch, and we built a really healthy, amazing relationship. I'm proud of him, and I know he's the man I want to marry. Everything was great until Ella found out I was dating George, and not just dating serious. The kind of serious that leads to an engagement ring. She lost it. First, she started telling everyone that George was grooming me. I was 25, an adult. He was 36. That's not grooming, and it's insulting to actual victims. Then she escalated. She told my family that George was abusing me. She claimed he was trying to turn me into an addict like he used to be. She lied about him hitting me, manipulating me, isolating me. None of it was true. I tried to keep the peace for my brother's sake. David is a good guy, but he's caught in the middle. He loves Ella, and she's his wife. He didn't know what to believe at first. But George and I were open. I introduced him to my family, let them see how he treated me. Slowly, they realized Ella was lying, but she didn't stop. She posted passive-aggressive stuff on social media. She made snide comments at family gatherings. She tried to turn my parents against me. My mom started asking questions, and I had to explain everything: the timeline, George's past, his recovery. Mom believed me, but the tension was unbearable. Then George proposed. It was perfect. He got down on one knee, told me he wanted to spend the rest of his life proving he was worthy of my love. I said yes. We were so happy. Ella found out through my brother. David was happy for us, but when he told Ella, she flipped. She started screaming at him, saying he was choosing me over her, that I had stolen her ex just to hurt her. David tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't listen. She went straight to my parents and accused George of being a predator. She claimed he was only with me because he couldn't have her. My dad called me that night. He said, "Look, your mom and I support you, but we need to be sure this man is safe. Ella is making serious allegations." I was heartbroken. I thought we were past this. I told my dad the truth, that Ella was bitter, that she had never gotten over George not wanting to marry her, and that she was lashing out. I asked him to look at the facts. George had been sober for over a year by then, had a stable job, treated me with nothing but respect. My dad listened. He said he'd talk to my brother. The next family dinner, Ella refused to sit at the same table as me. She made a scene, crying and saying I was trying to steal her past. My brother looked miserable. My mom tried to mediate, but Ella wouldn't calm down. She yelled that I was a homewrecker, that George was only using me to get back at her. I lost it. I said, "Ella, you broke up with him because he wouldn't marry you. He didn't want a future with you, but he wants one with me. That's not my fault. You married my brother and moved on, or so I thought. Why can't you let me be happy?" She stared at me with pure hatred. Then she turned to my brother and said, "Choose her or me." David looked at me, then back at her. He said, "I'm not choosing anyone. You're my wife, but she's my sister. We need to figure this out." Ella stormed out. That was the last time we tried to have a normal family event. After that, my parents sat down with David and told him that unless Ella could behave civilly, she wouldn't be welcome at family gatherings. David agreed, but he said Ella was too stubborn to apologize. He was basically stuck. Then came the engagement party. I planned a small celebration at a restaurant. I invited my family, George's family, close friends. Ella wasn't invited. My brother came alone. He said Ella refused to come and told him not to go either, but he came anyway because he wanted to support me. Halfway through dinner, my phone blew up. Text after text from unknown numbers. "You're a snake. George will leave you like he left her. You don't deserve happiness." I showed George. He was furious. We traced the numbers. One was Ella's second phone. The others were her friends. My brother saw my face and asked what was wrong. I showed him. He turned pale. He excused himself and called Ella. I heard him yelling through the phone, "You need to stop. This is insane." When he came back, he said, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll handle it." He didn't. The texts kept coming. Ella started posting photos of George and her together from years ago, tagging me, writing captions like "Remember when he actually loved someone," and "Some women just take leftovers." I blocked her, but she made new accounts. I went to the police. They said since she wasn't threatening me directly, there wasn't much they could do, but they suggested a cease and desist letter. I sent one. She laughed. The breaking point came a few weeks later. George and I went out to dinner for our anniversary. We posted a couple of photos on Instagram, just us happy. Within an hour, Ella had commented on a mutual friend's post with a screenshot of George's old Facebook messages to her, saying he never loved me, that he was just settling. The friend sent it to me asking if everything was okay. I decided I was done. I called my brother and told him I was filing a restraining order if she didn't stop. He begged me not to, said he'd talk to her again. I said, David, she's harassing me. It's been months, she's not going to stop unless there are consequences. He went quiet, then he said, you're right, I'll tell her if she does anything else, we're done. I didn't believe him. But 2 days later, my mom called. She said David had given Ella an ultimatum, get therapy and apologize or he'd leave. Ella chose to leave. She moved out that weekend. My brother cried on the phone with me. He said he knew she was wrong, but he loved her and hoped she'd change. I told him I was sorry he had to go through that, but I couldn't keep forgiving her behavior. He agreed. Now I'm left wondering, am I the asshole for not backing down, for forcing my brother to choose? Part of me feels guilty, like I should have just taken the abuse to keep the peace. But another part knows I deserve to be happy without someone trying to tear me down. And my family, they've banned Ella from all gatherings until she gets help. Even my parents, who usually avoid conflict, said enough is enough. My dad told me, you're our daughter, we'll always have your back. So here I am, engaged to the man I love, while my sister-in-law burns every bridge she has. I don't know if she'll ever come around. I'm not sure I want her to, but I do know that when George proposed to me, it wasn't about her. It was about us. And I'm not going to let her ruin that, so that was one mess. But if you think family drama is bad, let me tell you about my coworker. The one who thought it was okay to stalk me on my day off just to prove I'm not really disabled. I have chronic pain, not the kind you see in movies where someone's bedridden and crying. It's the everyday kind. Imagine stepping on a Lego, that sharp, shocking pain, but it doesn't go away. It's there when you wake up, when you walk, when you sit. Some days I'm at a 6 on the pain scale. On good days, maybe a 4. On bad days, I need my canes. I have a handicap placard on my car because on those days I can barely stand, let alone walk from the far end of a parking lot. I've had all the paperwork filed at my job for accommodations. My bosses knew, HR knew, everyone knew. I work 2 jobs. My main one is full-time, but I also work part-time at a different place to pad my savings and keep my mind busy. The part-time gig moved me to a location closer to home a few months ago. New team, new boss named Amy. She's great. And then there's Casey. Casey is the assistant coordinator, same as me. She's been gunning for a promotion forever. I don't want it. My main job is full-time, so this part-time role is just extra. I don't compete with her, but she saw me as a threat anyway because Amy liked my work. Everything was fine until I had a really bad flare-up last Sunday. I pulled out my canes. I used my handicap spot. I moved slow. My pain was an 8, maybe 9. I couldn't hide it. Casey saw me hobbling into the building and said, "Oh, you actually use those?" I just nodded. She smirked. A few days later, I was having a better day. Pain at a 5. I didn't use my canes. I parked in a regular spot because I felt okay enough. I was walking normally, chatting with customers, smiling. I even carried a box of supplies from the back room. It was a good day. That was my mistake, letting her see me have a good day. 2 days after that, my boss Amy called me into her office. She looked uncomfortable. She said, "Casey came to me with something. She said she has video evidence that you're faking your disability. She filmed you outside work on your day off, walking without a cane and carrying shopping bags." I felt my blood run cold. "She filmed me. She said she followed you to the mall to prove you don't need accommodations." Amy sighed. I told her that's not appropriate, but HR says because it's not on company property, they can't discipline her for the recording, but they do have to look into the disability claim. I was shaking. I have legal documentation. I have a doctor, a specialist, a whole folder of medical records. But Casey had apparently started a whisper campaign. She was telling other coworkers I was a fraud, that I just wanted special treatment, that I was lazy. I went home and cried. I couldn't believe someone would go that far. My husband was furious. He wanted to call the police, but what could they do? She was on public property. There's no law against being a terrible person. That was the first week. Things got worse. Casey doubled down. She started making comments in the break room. "Oh, you're using the elevator today. Must be a bad day, but you were fine at Target yesterday." She didn't say it loud enough for management to hear, but she said it. Other coworkers started looking at me sideways. One of them, a guy named Marcus, actually asked me, "So is your condition just some days or is it all the time?" I explained invisible illness. He seemed skeptical. I talked to Amy again. I told her Casey was creating a hostile work environment. Amy promised to talk to Casey, but Casey just got sneakier. She started taking photos of me from her car during my lunch breaks. She'd send them to HR with captions like, "She's standing for 20 minutes in line at Starbucks, clearly in agony." HR called me in for a formal meeting. 2 women from corporate sat across from me and asked to see my medical documentation again. I pulled out my doctor's letter, my accommodation approvals, even a note from my specialist explaining that chronic pain fluctuates. They read it, nodded, and said they'd close the case. But the damage was done. Everyone now thought I was faking. I tried to ignore it. I focused on my work, but Casey kept pushing. One night I got a text from Marcus, the guy who asked earlier. He said, "Hey, just so you know, Casey is showing everyone a video of you running across a parking lot during a thunderstorm. She says you faked your limp. I don't know what to believe." That broke me. I wasn't running. I was trying to get to my car in a downpour, and yes, I was moving faster than usual because rain on chronic pain is like adding fire to a burn. But I was still in pain. I was just dealing with it. I called my husband. He said, contact a lawyer. So I did. I found an employment attorney who specialized in disability discrimination. She listened to my story and said, we have a strong case, stalking, invasion of privacy, hostile work environment, but it'll get messy. I didn't care about messy. I wanted it to stop. I filed a formal complaint with the EEOC. My attorney sent a letter to my company's corporate office. Suddenly, things moved fast. Amy called me and said Casey had been suspended pending investigation. I felt relief for about a day. Then Casey's husband started contacting me on Facebook. He said I was ruining her career, that she was just trying to hold me accountable, that I should drop it. I blocked him. Then her mother called my work number. How she got it, I don't know. She left a voicemail calling me a liar and a manipulator. I didn't respond. I let my attorney handle everything. 2 weeks later, I got an email from HR. Casey was terminated. They cited violation of company policy, harassment, and creating a hostile environment. They also mandated additional disability awareness training for the entire team. I thought finally it's over, but it was. Last week I was leaving a grocery store just minding my own business. I had my cane that day, bad flare-up. As I was heading to my car, I saw someone in the parking lot holding a phone up, pointed at me. It was Casey. She wasn't supposed to be anywhere near me. The termination letter included a no-contact order, but apparently that was just internal. She hadn't been served any legal papers, so she followed me again. She filmed me with my cane, then took a photo of my handicap placard and posted it on some private Facebook group called Disability Fraud Watch or something. My friend who was in the group sent me screenshots. The caption said, this woman uses a cane on some days and walks perfectly on others. She works at company name and claims chronic pain. Look at her now, barely able to walk. Convenient, right? Someone should report her to Social Security. I couldn't breathe. This woman lost her job and still wouldn't stop. She was obsessed. I called the police. This time I had evidence, screenshots, the video from the parking lot, her previous termination letter, the whole timeline. A detective finally took me seriously. He said they could file stalking charges. It's still pending. But last night I got a text from an unknown number. You ruined my life. I hope your pain gets worse. I saved it. I forwarded it to the detective. I'm done being quiet. I used to think I was overreacting, that maybe I should just transfer to another location and let it go. But no, I am disabled. I have a right to exist without being surveilled. I have a right to have good days and bad days. I have a right to not prove my pain to anyone. I'm not the asshole, I'm the victim, and I'm going to see this through. I never thought my brother's wife would be the ex of the man I love, but here we are. My name's not important, but the players are me 27F, my fiancé George 38, my older brother David 30, and my sister-in-law Ella 34. Ella is David's wife. She's also George's ex. Let me rewind. 4 years ago, George and Ella dated for about 6 months. He was in a bad place back then, partying, doing drugs, not reliable. Ella wanted marriage and kids. George didn't want that with her, so she broke up with him. Then, within months, she met my brother David at a mutual friend's party. They moved fast. 6 or 7 months later, they were married. So in the span of about a year and a half, Ella went from dating George to breaking up, meeting my brother, and walking down the aisle. I remember thinking it was a little quick, but David seemed happy, so whatever. I met George 2 years ago. I had no idea he was Ella's ex. We met at a coffee shop. I was reading a book. He spilled his drink. We laughed, exchanged numbers. It was that simple. He was open about his past, the drugs, the partying, the therapy. He told me he was trying to be a better person. I believed him. Over the next few months, I watched him change. He quit drinking cold turkey. He stopped doing anything that could set him back. He went to therapy twice a week. He transformed. I fell for him hard. We became official after about 4 months. I told my family. Everyone was happy for me, especially David. He said, I just want you to be with someone who treats you right. Then came the family dinner. Ella was there. She saw George walk in with me. Her face went white, then red, then white again. She didn't say a word. She just stared. Later that night, David called me. Did you know George used to date Ella? I felt like I'd been punched. No, I didn't know. George never mentioned it. I asked him the next day. He looked guilty. He said, I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how. It was a short thing. Your brother wasn't in the picture then. I didn't want you to think it was weird. I was mad, but I got over it. It was years before I met him. And David and Ella were married. Old news. Ella didn't see it that way. First, she started making comments. Oh, you're dating George? You know he's a drug addict, right? I corrected her. He used to be. He's clean now. She rolled her eyes. Then she went to my parents. She told them George was grooming me. I was 25 when we got together. He was 36. That's an age gap, sure, but grooming, please, I'm a grown woman. I can make my own choices. My parents didn't believe her. They like George. They see how he treats me, so Ella escalated. She started telling anyone who would listen that George was abusing me. She told David that George had hit me. David asked me. I showed him texts, call logs, everything. No bruises, no yelling, no control. George was the gentlest man I'd ever been with. David believed me, but Ella didn't stop. She tried to turn David against me. She said I was dating George to spite her. She said I was jealous of her marriage. She said I was trying to make her look bad. None of it was true. I didn't even know they had dated until after we were together. A year into our relationship, George proposed. He'd saved up for months. He took me to the same coffee shop where we met. He got down on one knee. I said yes. We posted the news on social media. The photo was of us holding hands, the ring visible. Ella saw it. She went ballistic. She called David screaming. She said George only proposed to me because he couldn't have her. She said I was a placeholder. She said George was still in love with her. I heard some of this from David. He was crying on the phone. He said, she's making my life hell. She won't stop talking about you too. I tried to smooth things over. I invited Ella to lunch, just us. I thought maybe if we talked, she'd see I wasn't her enemy. She showed up, sat down, and immediately said, you're ruining my marriage. I said, how? I'm not doing anything to you. She said, you're with him, you're with my ex. How do you think that makes me feel? I said, I didn't know he was your ex, and it's been years. You're married to my brother. Why does this bother you? She said, because he never wanted to marry me. He never changed for me, but with you, he's some perfect man. It's not fair. I said, I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is my life now. You need to move on. She stood up, threw her napkin on the table, and walked out. That was the last civil conversation we had. Then came the wedding planning. We wanted a small wedding, immediate family only. David would be my best man, George's best friend would be his. We booked a venue, sent save the dates. Ella RSVP'd yes. But then she started posting passive-aggressive things on social media. Some people just don't know when to stay away from their family's exes. Can't wait to see how this ends. David asked her to stop. She told him he was taking my side. The breaking point was a phone call I overheard. George was in the kitchen talking to his friend. Ella had called him. I didn't even know she had his number. Heard snippets, you ruined my chance with you. You only proposed to her to make me jealous. I'm still in love with you. George hung up, looked at me and said, I need to block her. I said, what did she say? He told me everything. She'd been calling him for weeks, leaving voicemails, texting. He'd been trying to handle it himself, but now he saw it was serious. I called David. I told him everything. He was silent for a long moment. Then he said, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk to her. He did. That night we got a text from David saying Ella was checking into a hotel. He said she refused to come home. He said she told him she'd only come back if I broke off the engagement and apologized publicly. I refused. David and Ella separated for 2 weeks. During that time, Ella's mother called my mother. She accused me of being a homewrecker. My mother told her to back off. The family was splitting. My parents stopped inviting Ella to Sunday dinners. That made it worse. Then I got a message from a friend of a friend. Ella had been telling people I'd slept with George while she and David were dating. I hadn't. I didn't even know George then. But she was spreading lies. I had proof, timelines, photos, messages from George showing when we started talking. I sent it all to David. He confronted her. She admitted she lied. David filed for divorce. It was final 3 months later. Ella was banned from all family events. My parents told her not to come to holidays. David moved out. I felt guilty, but I also felt relief. The toxicity was gone. We got married 6 months ago. It was small. David was my best man, still hurting but healing. George and I are happy. He's been sober for over 2 years. He's a different person. We're expecting our first child. But every now and then I get a random text from a blocked number. You stole my life. I hope your baby has your personality. I delete them. George wants to get a restraining order. Maybe we will. So AITAH for banning Ella from our family? I don't think so. I think she made her own choices. I just chose happiness, and I'm not sorry. I never expected my disability to be the thing someone used against me at work. But here we are. I've got chronic pain, not the kind you see in a commercial with someone smiling while they stretch. I'm talking every single day, waking up at a 6 or 7 on the pain scale. You know that feeling when you step on a Lego, that sharp, sudden sting? Imagine that, but all the time somewhere in your body. Some days it's my lower back, some days it's my hips. Some days it's both in my knees and my shoulders. I manage, I'm active, I work 2 jobs, I don't complain much, but I have bad days. On bad days I use a cane. On really bad days I use 2. I have a handicap placard for my car. The license plate has the little wheelchair symbol. Legally, I'm disabled. That's just facts. I work a full-time job during the day, then I have a part-time job in the evenings. It's a coordinator role for a local organization. I was recently moved to a new location closer to my house. I was excited. The team there was great. My boss, Amy, is understanding and kind. She knew about my condition from day one. I had all the paperwork on file, doctor's notes, accommodation requests, everything. I didn't need much, just the ability to sit when I needed to and to take short breaks if I was having a flare-up. Amy was cool with it. The job itself is easy for me. I like staying busy, keeps my mind off the pain. Then there's Casey. Casey is my colleague at the same level. We're both assistant coordinators to Amy. Casey wanted a promotion. Everyone knew it. The promotion would be to a full-time position. I didn't want it. I already have a full-time job. I do this part-time gig for extra savings and because I genuinely like the work. It also helps with my anxiety to stay occupied. So Casey saw me as competition even though I wasn't competing. She couldn't understand why I wasn't gunning for the same thing. I think it irritated her that I was just there doing my job, not kissing up to anyone. It started small, little comments. You're always sitting. Are you tired? I'd say, my back is bad today. She'd give me a look, then she'd walk away. I figured she was just a little jealous. I didn't think much of it. Then came the day I had a really bad flare-up. I woke up and could barely get out of bed. I took my meds, waited an hour, and still couldn't straighten my back. I decided to use my cane. I drive a stick shift, so that was a challenge, but I made it to work. I parked in the handicap spot right next to the door. I grabbed my cane, walked in. Amy saw me and said, "You okay? Take it easy today." I nodded and went to my desk. Casey saw me too. She smirked. "Oh, you're using the cane today? Must be bad." I said, "Yeah, it's a rough day." She just said, "Uh-huh," and walked off. About a week later, I was feeling better. Not great, but better. I didn't use the cane that day. I parked in the regular lot because I felt like I could handle the walk. I was moving fine, not fast, but fine. I went about my day. Then I got a text from Amy. "Hey, can you come to my office when you get a second?" I went in. She closed the door. Her face was serious. She said, "I got an email from HR. Someone filed a complaint about your disability accommodations." I was stunned. "Who? What did they say?" Amy hesitated. "They said you're not actually disabled. They said you only use the cane when you need sympathy and that you're faking it to get special treatment." I felt sick. "Who said that?" "I can't tell you, but I need to investigate. Can you provide documentation again?" I already had it on file. I gave it to her again. I also gave her my parking placard number and my doctor's note. She said, "I know you're legit, but I have to follow procedure." I went back to my desk. Casey was there. She didn't look at me. I knew it was her. It had to be. A few days later, I was leaving work. I walked to my car, got in, and drove home. The next day, Casey came in late. She seemed nervous. I didn't think anything of it. Then a week later, Amy called me into her office again. She looked frustrated. "I'm sorry, but I have to show you this." She turned her laptop around. On the screen was a video. It was me 2 days ago walking from my car to the grocery store. I wasn't using a cane. I was carrying shopping bags. I looked normal. The video was taken from a car. It had a time stamp. It was clearly stalking. I said, "Who took this?" Amy said. "Casey admitted it. She said she wanted to prove you weren't disabled. She followed you after work 2 days ago and filmed you. She sent it to HR." I couldn't breathe. I sat down. "She followed me. She took a video of me without my permission." Amy nodded. "I'm sorry. I've reported this to HR too, but they're reviewing everything." I felt violated. This wasn't just a coworker being petty. This was stalking. This was me being watched. I called my husband. He was furious. He said, "File a police report." I did. I went to the local station. The officer looked at the video. He said, "She filmed you in a public place. That's not illegal in Texas. As for the disability claim, that's a civil matter. We can't do much unless she threatens you or harasses you further." I said, "She's harassing me. She's accusing me of fraud." He shrugged. "We can file a report, but don't expect charges." I felt helpless. I called HR again. They said they were investigating, but nothing happened for 2 weeks. Casey was still at her desk. She acted like nothing happened. She even smiled at me once. I wanted to scream. Then I saw her car outside my apartment. Not the same day, a week later. I was coming home from a bad day. I pulled into my complex. There was a car that looked like hers parked on the street. I didn't see her inside, but the car was the same model, same color. I took a picture. I sent it to my husband. He said, "Call the police again." I called. They came. The car was gone by then. They said they couldn't prove anything. I was living in fear. I changed my route home. I started checking the parking lot before I got out. My husband started driving me to work. It was exhausting. Then the update came. HR finally made a decision. Casey was put on administrative leave pending a full investigation. Amy told me they found other evidence, texts to other coworkers calling me faker, a group chat where she bragged about catching me. It was clear this wasn't a one-time thing. It was a campaign. I felt relief, but it wasn't over. Casey was still out there. I didn't know if she'd come back. I didn't know if she'd escalate, but I wasn't going to hide. I kept going to work. I used my cane when I needed to. I parked in the handicap spot. I didn't apologize for my body. A month later, I got a letter from my lawyer. HR had officially terminated Casey. She was fired. They also issued a no-contact order through the company. If she came near me, they'd call the police and press charges. I still look over my shoulder, but I'm not broken. I learned something. Some people hate you for no reason. Some people can't stand that you exist the way you are. They'll try to tear you down, but you keep going. I kept going. That's all you can do. I never thought my brother's wife would be the one to tear my family apart. But here we are. I'm 27. My fiancé George is 38. My brother David is 36 and his wife Ella is 34. Sounds like a normal family tree, right? Not even close, because George and Ella used to date and I didn't know that when I met him. Let me back up. 4 years ago, George and Ella were together for about 6 months. Ella wanted marriage and kids. George wasn't ready. He was going through a rough patch, partying, drugs, not exactly the reliable type. They broke up messily. Ella was furious that she couldn't fix him. Then within a year, she met my brother David. They got married 6 or 7 months later and suddenly she was my sister-in-law. Fast forward to 2 years ago. I met George at a mutual friend's barbecue. He was quiet, seemed a little broken. We talked for hours. I didn't know about his past. I just knew I felt something real. We started dating, and something clicked for him. He quit drinking cold turkey, stopped the drugs, started therapy. He became a different person, sober, focused, honest. I was there for all of it. We built a healthy relationship one day at a time. I was proud of him. Then Ella found out. She flipped. She started spreading lies. Told everyone George was grooming me. I was 25, he was 36, that's a big age gap but not grooming. She said he was abusing me, trying to turn me into an addict. None of it was true. She told my parents I was in danger. My mom called me crying. I had to explain everything. Eventually my parents saw the truth. George was clean, treating me well, nothing like what Ella described. But Ella didn't stop. She kept gossiping, kept trying to turn family against me. My brother David was caught in the middle. He loved Ella, but he also loved me. He started asking questions. She got defensive. They fought. Then George proposed. He did it on a quiet Tuesday night, just the two of us at the park where we had our first real date. I said yes. I was over the moon. We decided to announce it at a family dinner at my parents' house the following weekend. That dinner was a disaster. We gathered around the table, my parents, David, Ella, me, George. My dad asked for a toast. I said, actually, we have news. George and I are engaged. Mom screamed. Dad shook George's hand. David smiled, but Ella, she went pale, then red. She stood up, chair scraping the floor. You're engaged. To him, she pointed at George. You stole him from me. You're marrying the man who didn't want me. I said, Ella, that was years ago. He's different now. She laughed. Different? He's a junkie. You're a fool. George stayed calm. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I love your sister-in-law. I want to marry her. Ella spat. You'll ruin her just like you tried to ruin me. David stood up. Ella, stop. This is their moment. She turned on him. You're taking her side, your own wife. I'm not taking sides. I'm asking you to be civil. She grabbed her purse. Civil, I'll show you civil. She stormed out, slamming the door. The dinner ended early. David followed her home. My mom was in tears. I felt sick that night. David called me. She's locked herself in the bathroom, says she'll leave me if I don't cut you off. I said, David, she's toxic. You know that. He sighed. I know, but she's my wife. Things got worse. Ella started a campaign. She told my aunt that I was a gold digger. She told George's old friends that he was relapsing. She even tried to get my workplace to think I was unstable. None of it stuck, but it was exhausting. My parents eventually told her she wasn't welcome at family events until she apologized to me. She refused. Then came the wedding planning. George and I set a date. We sent out save the dates. Ella wasn't on the list. David called me conflicted. She's my wife. If she's not invited, I shouldn't go either. I said, David, I love you, but she tried to destroy my relationship. I can't have her there. He understood. He didn't come to the engagement party. It broke my heart. A few weeks later, Ella's mother called my mom, said Ella was devastated, that I was a homewrecker, that I'd stolen George from her. My mom shut that down fast. Your daughter dated George for 6 months 4 years ago. My daughter has been with him for 2 years. He chose her. Get over it. The drama didn't stop. Ella started spreading rumors that George had hit me, that I had a black eye. None of it was true. My brother David finally had enough. He told her she needed therapy or he'd leave. She agreed to go, but it was just for show. She kept the lies going behind his back. Then came the final straw. At a family barbecue at my parents' house, Ella showed up uninvited. She walked into the backyard, saw George and me laughing with aunts and uncles. She marched right up to us loud enough for everyone to hear. You're nothing but a copycat. You saw I had him and you wanted him. You're pathetic. I said, Ella, leave now. She screamed. You can't tell me what to do. I'm part of this family. My dad stepped in. Ella, you need to leave now. This is my house. She looked at David, who stood frozen. Are you going to let them treat me like this? David said quietly, Ella, you've been lying for months. I can't do this anymore. She started crying. You're choosing her over me? I'm choosing the truth. She ran out. Later that night, David called me. I'm filing for divorce. I didn't say I told you so. I just said, I'm sorry, David. Now it's been a few months. The divorce is in process. Ella has been banned from all family gatherings. My parents made that clear after the barbecue. She tried to call me once, said she wanted to apologize. I didn't answer. George and I are still planning our wedding. He's been sober for 2 years. He goes to therapy. He's the best man I know. My brother is hurting, but he's also relieved. He told me I ignored the red flags because I loved her, but I can't ignore someone who hurts my sister. I don't know if I'll ever forgive Ella, but I don't have to. I have George, I have my family, and for once the drama is behind us, or so I thought, because just when I thought I could relax, another storm hit, not from Ella, from a different corner entirely. This one came from work, and it made me realize that some people just can't stand to see you happy. I'm a woman in my late 20s, I live in Texas, and I have chronic pain. That's the part people don't see. I look fine most days, I walk normal, I smile, I show up. But inside, every day is a battle. The way I explain it to people without chronic pain is like this. Imagine you're at a 2 or 3 on the pain scale, just existing. A stubbed toe is an 8, brief but brutal. Me, I'm at a 6 every single morning. That's like having a pulled muscle that never heals, that dull ache that whispers in your joints and spine. Some days I climb to a 7 or higher. On those days I use my canes. I have handicap placards on my car, a marker on my license plate, and all the paperwork filed with my job for accommodations if I ever need them. I'm active. I work 2 jobs. I keep moving because staying still makes the pain louder. I've had this condition for years. It's not new, but people still judge. They see a young black woman park in a handicapped spot and they assume I'm gaming the system. I've gotten dirty looks. I've had strangers mutter under their breath. But I never thought a coworker would actually stalk me to prove I was lying. I work part-time as an assistant coordinator. My boss Amy is great, really understanding. My colleague Casey and I share the same position. Casey wanted a promotion to a full-time role. I didn't. I already have a full-time job. I do this part-time to pad my savings and because I actually enjoy the work. Being busy helps with my anxiety. I was open about that. Casey knew I wasn't a threat for the promotion. Still, she didn't like me. I don't know why. Maybe because Amy liked me. Maybe because I never kissed up to her. She was always cold, but I kept it professional. Then came Sunday. One of those days where the pain spiked to an 8. I could barely get out of bed. I forced myself up, grabbed my cane, and drove to the grocery store. I parked in the handicap spot legally with my placard hanging. I hobbled inside, grabbed what I needed, and hobbled back. It hurt to breathe. When I got to my car, I noticed Casey standing by her car 2 spaces away. She was holding her phone up, pointed at me. I froze. "Casey, what are you doing?" She lowered the phone but didn't put it away. "Oh, hey, just recording something for a project." It felt wrong. I didn't say anything. I got in my car and left, but the whole drive home I felt sick. Why was she at my grocery store? She lived 20 minutes in the opposite direction, and why was she filming me? I called Amy the next morning. "Amy, I think Casey followed me yesterday. She took video of me." Amy paused. "Are you sure?" "I saw her. She was holding her phone up at a grocery store near my house. She doesn't even live in this area." Amy said she'd talk to Casey. I thought that would be the end, but Casey doubled down. The next day at work, she came up to me with a smile. "Hey, I just wanted to clarify the video. I was showing my husband how you walk with a cane. He didn't believe you're actually disabled. I mean, you seem so normal most days. I was just proving a point." My stomach dropped. "You think I'm faking?" "I didn't say that, but come on, you don't use the cane every day. You park in handicap spots, people talk." I walked away. I went straight to Amy's office. I told Amy everything. Amy looked furious. She said she'd escalated to HR. Casey was called in for a meeting. She denied everything at first, then admitted she filmed me but claimed it was out of concern. Concern for what? She said she wanted to make sure I wasn't abusing the system. HR gave her a warning. I thought that was enough, but Casey didn't stop. 2 weeks later, I found out she'd been showing the video to other coworkers. She'd turned it into gossip. "Did you see her at the store? She limped for like 2 minutes, then walked fine when she got to the car. She's totally faking." I started getting sideways looks. People who used to say hi in the hallway suddenly avoided me. One woman asked me directly, "So, are you really disabled or just lazy?" I reported that too. HR gave Casey a second warning. She was told to stop or she'd be fired. She didn't stop. She just got smarter. A month later, I got a call from my lawyer. Yes, I hired one. Casey had been posting about me on social media, not naming me directly but describing my condition in ways that made it obvious. She wrote, "Coworker with chronic pain uses handicap spot but runs errands just fine. Wonder if she's really in pain or just wants the perks." She had a public account. I had screenshots. My lawyer sent a cease and desist. Casey's response. She created a private Instagram account and started a group chat with other coworkers sharing my location. I found out when a friend of a friend sent me screenshots. Casey was tracking my movements. She'd written, "Saw her at Target today, no cane, shocker." That was when everything changed. I went to the police. I filed a report for stalking. The officer looked at me, looked at the screenshots and said, "This isn't really a crime, she's just being nosy, block her." I said, "She's following me. She's recording me without consent, she's trying to get me fired." He shrugged. "Talk to HR." I was furious. But I knew that in Texas, with the way I looked, I wasn't going to get sympathy from the cops. I went back to my lawyer. He filed a complaint with the company. HR finally took it seriously. They launched an investigation. During the investigation, Casey escalated again. She convinced another coworker to follow me on a bad pain day. That coworker reported back that I used a shopping cart for support, so clearly I wasn't disabled. HR interviewed everyone. Casey denied the tracking, but the screenshots were clear. The coworker who followed me admitted it under pressure. Casey was suspended pending termination. I thought I'd feel relieved. Instead, I felt sick. I didn't want her to lose her job. I just wanted her to stop. But Amy told me, "She made your work-life hell. She invaded your privacy. She deserves consequences." The termination hearing was last week. Casey was fired. HR issued a no-contact order through the company. "If she comes near me, I can call the police and they'll press charges." That part felt good, but I still look over my shoulder. I still check my mirrors. I still wonder if someone is watching me from a car, phone in hand, waiting for me to have a good day so they can tell the world I'm a fraud. That's the thing about invisible disabilities. People want proof. They want you to be in constant visible pain or they think you're lying. They don't understand that chronic pain has good days and bad days, that I can have a 7 today and a 4 tomorrow, that using a cane is not an admission of weakness, it's a tool to keep me standing. I hate that she made me feel like I have to defend my own body. But I won't. I know what I live with. I know the mornings I cry in the shower because my back won't straighten. I know the nights I lie awake counting breaths until the pain dulls. I don't owe Casey or anyone else a medical chart. So here I am still working that part-time job. Casey is gone. The gossip is dying down. Amy and I have a meeting next week about implementing stricter policies on filming in the workplace. I might speak at the staff meeting about invisible disabilities. I'm still scared, but I'm still here. Some people hate you for no reason. Some people can't stand that you exist the way you are. They'll try to tear you down, but you keep going. I kept going. That's all you can do. I thought I was overreacting at first. but looking back, I should have seen it coming from a mile away. My older brother David got married to a woman named Ella about 2 years ago. They moved fast, real fast. She dated my fiancé George first. Yeah, that part is messy. George and Ella dated for 6 months 4 years ago. She wanted marriage and kids. George wasn't ready. He was going through a rough patch back then, partying, doing drugs, not exactly reliable. They broke up. Then Ella met my brother maybe a couple months later. They were engaged within 4 months, married 2 months after that. So within a year and change, she went from dating George to being married to my brother. I didn't know any of this when I met George 2 years ago. I met George at a friend's birthday barbecue. He was funny, sweet, a little rough around the edges but trying. He told me early on he used to have a problem with substances but had been clean for a while. I didn't ask for details. He went to therapy. He was serious about changing his life. We clicked. I was 25, he was 36. Age gap, sure, but we were both adults. He never pressured me. He was patient. I fell for him slow and steady. A few months into dating, I brought him to a family dinner. My brother David was there with Ella. I introduced them. George's face went pale. Ella's smile froze. David didn't notice. After dinner, Ella pulled me aside in the kitchen. "You need to know who you're dating," she said, voice low and sharp. "What do you mean? He's my ex. He's a drug addict. He's going to ruin your life." My stomach dropped. I didn't know they'd dated. I asked George later that night. He told me everything. The breakup, the drama, the fact that Ella wanted to get married and he didn't. He said he was in a bad place back then, but he'd been clean for over a year by the time we met. He swore he was different now. I believed him. I saw the change every day. He went to meetings. He talked to his therapist. He cooked me dinner and held me when I had anxiety attacks. He wasn't the man Ella described, but Ella didn't stop. She started spreading lies. She told my parents that George was grooming me. She said, "He's 36 and she's 25, that's a power imbalance." I pointed out that she was 34 dating my 36-year-old brother, and nobody called that grooming. She ignored it. Then she told my aunt that George was physically abusive. That one I heard through my cousin. She claimed he'd hit his last girlfriend, which was a complete lie. George never hit anyone. The only violence in his past was a bar fight when he was 22. I confronted her at a family gathering. "Ella, why are you saying these things?" She smiled like she won something. "I'm just looking out for you. Your boyfriend has a history." "So do you? You married my brother 3 months after meeting him." Her face went red. She walked away, but the damage was done. My parents started giving me lectures. My mom said, "We're just worried about you. George is older than David and he used to do drugs." My dad said nothing, but I could tell he was uncomfortable. David was stuck in the middle. He loved his wife, but he also loved me. One night he called me. "Hey, can we talk? Ella told me some stuff about George. Is it true?" "David, it's all lies. She's bitter because he didn't want to marry her." Long pause. "She said you're being manipulated." "I'm not. I'm 27. I have a job. I pay my own bills. I'm not being manipulated." He sighed. "Okay, I believe you, but can you and George take it slow? For mom and dad," I agreed, but slow wasn't enough for Ella. She wanted George gone entirely. Last month, George proposed. It was perfect, a quiet dinner at our favorite Italian place, a ring he'd saved 3 months to buy. I said yes. I was over the moon. I posted a photo on Instagram, my hand with the ring, George kissing my cheek, the red wine glasses in the background. Ella commented, "Congrats, so happy for you," smiling face with smiling eyes. I thought maybe she'd moved on. I thought maybe she was finally okay. Then my cousin sent me a screenshot. Ella had posted in a private Facebook group for local moms. "My husband's little sister is engaged to my abusive ex. He used to do drugs and beat his girlfriends. I tried to warn her but she won't listen. I'm scared for her." The group had over 3,000 members. Some comments said, "Call the police." Others said, "She's an adult, let her learn." But the worst part was that someone in the group knew George's full name and where he worked. They posted his employer's address. I called Ella that night. "You need to take that down. You're lying." "I'm not lying. I'm warning people. You're slandering him. I have screenshots. I'll sue you for defamation." She laughed. "Go ahead. My husband will back me up." I called David. He said, "She promised me she'd stop. I'll talk to her." But she didn't stop. She made another post, this time naming me. She said I was brainwashed and probably on drugs myself. That was the last straw. I sent the screenshots to my parents. I said, "Either you handle this or I cut contact." My dad called a family meeting. David came alone. Ella wasn't invited. My mom started crying. She said we didn't realize she was this cruel. My dad said, "She's banned from holiday gatherings until she apologizes in writing and deletes every post." David looked destroyed, but he nodded. "I'll tell her." Ella didn't apologize. She doubled down. She told David I was trying to break up their marriage. She said I was jealous because George didn't want me, he wanted her. Complete delusion. This weekend, I got a text from my mom. Ella had sent her a photo of George from 4 years ago, drunk, half-naked at a party. She wrote, "This is the man your daughter is marrying." My mom replied, "We all have pasts. Leave my daughter alone." Ella hasn't been to a family event since. My brother visits her family on holidays. It's tense. David and I still talk, but he's distant. I know he loves her, but I also know he sees the truth. As for me and George, we set a date, June next year. I'm not letting her bitterness steal my joy. Some people can't stand to see you happy when they're miserable. But I refuse to live scared of a woman who can't let go of a 6-month relationship from 4 years ago. So no, I don't feel guilty for getting her banned. She earned it.